Hey there guys, welcome back to JTech. It's Jesse here again. Today I just wanted to do a quick little, not really so much an unboxing, but more of a review. I got a few questions on a prior video on what I use for cooling on the radiators. Because everything I use is, for the most part, a very budget-friendly style. When I was looking for fans for the radiators, I was looking for something that I thought would perform very well without breaking the bank. $30, $40 fans, they're a bit much for the average person, I think, personally, especially if you're trying to stay budget to be able to invest that kind of money into fans. Now, the one thing I will say is I picked up the Deepcool TF120. So that's what I use on my radiators. They are not what I use for my RGB solution at all, by any means. Now, they do make a CF, I believe. I think it's a CF120 and a CF140, which are RGB now. And from what I see, I think they're about the same statistics. Like, they have the same stats, basically, as these, or at least close to it. I think they stop at 1,500 RPM, where these stop at, like, 1,800 RPM, I believe. But these things, overall, I cannot complain about. For the most part, they do get a little loud. At 1,800 RPM, you can definitely tell they're running, 100%. But from a performance point of view versus a lot of the other things on the market, and until you start getting into the really expensive fans, like the Vaders and stuff like that, where they run at 2,000 plus RPM, but they're made to be super, super quiet, these things do pretty well. Like, I know my system, I run my system, and at idle, mine will sit at about 780 to 800 RPM. That's where they sit at on my custom fan curve. They have the lowest RPM they'll run is 500. That is like the minimum RPM, and they max out at 1,800. If you run them on 7 volts, which comes supplied with the cable, they sit at 1,200 RPM. From a stats point of view, if you're running them at 1,200 RPM though, they'll put out about 58.39 CFM, so 58.5, give or take. And when you run them out at 1,800, like max speed, they put out 76.52, which is really high, actually, compared to most of the stuff on the market. As far as like an air pressure point of view, at 1,200 RPM, they're about 1.0. And at 1,800 RPM, they're getting close to like 1.5. Again, not 100%. They're by far not the best on the market. I love them because of the price. You're talking literally a $12 to like $14 fan tops. Like, that is the most. They come in white, they come in blue, they come in red. Those are the 3 colors these TFs come in. I know, like I said, there is the other ones, which are I believe there's RFs that come in multiple colors, but again, solid. And then there is the CF, which is their RGB solution. Anyway, let's open this up. So when you open them up, the one thing I do like about Deepcool is every time you open up, you get fan extension cable. You get the 7-volt cable in case you don't want to run them full speed, and in case you don't or are not able to put them on a custom fan curve. And then you get the fan itself. I've already used this fan, but it's just a spare. Now, one thing I do like about these fans is they use a fluid bearing. And the reason why I like the fluid bearing is some fans you can do this and other fans you can't. But what I do like about this is if you actually put your fingers on the back of it and you push, you can pop the blades out. Which means at any point in time, if you really, 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 really wanted to, one, you can oil the shaft that's in there to make it so it sits a little bit smoother. And you can always clean the dust out of the inside so the actual coil stays clean at all times. It also definitely helps with cleaning itself. It makes it very much easier to be able to clean it, take it apart, and put it back together. And they go back together just as easy as they come apart. Now, as I was saying, when it comes to this setup, you can definitely hear them. Like, my computer here has been idling now for, I don't know, probably about 2 hours or so. The CPU sitting at 18 degrees Celsius and the system sitting at 20 degrees Celsius. The fans are sitting at 780 RPM. That's just what they idle at, and for the most part, you can't hear the system. These fans that I have for the motherboard, just air cooling in general, they're actually louder, but they're really, really cheap RGB fans. Again, eBay solutions. But they are running at a max 1300 RPM at all time, and they're pretty loud. Again, something I might change along the road. I would love to switch to the CF RGB Deepcools all the way around if I could, because they are PWM fans, so you can put all of them on a custom fan curve, and it would make life a lot easier. But I don't want to do that at the moment. Maybe after the rebuild. But I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it, but if I switch it and I just shut it off, once these fans start really ramping up, you can really hear them. Now that's the fans sitting at about 1700 1800 RPM. As I said, you can really start hearing them at this point. Now, I can be honest, even when I'm stress testing this unit, I don't usually see the fans get any more than about 1300, so you can probably run them at 7 volts and they'd be fine. Obviously, I have these ones set on a custom fan curve. So, again, once I start stress testing, I really don't ever think I see them over about 1200 RPM overall. They do a great job at cooling, especially for the eBay rads that I have and everything else for this setup. Like I said, for 240 rads plus the fans, you're literally like maybe $110 invested Canadian. So it's really not that bad. But as far as it goes, for a cheap budget fan that works good on a rad, they have great airflow also, though they do get a bit noisy. I would 100% stand behind Deepcool on that. I definitely think they're one of the higher, more underrated but higher performance and better quality fans than I think they get their credit for. I definitely am going to be buying more as we go. I definitely want to go and probably get the CFs in the long run. But we'll see. Another thing I like about the fan, though, is the double layer blades. Now, I don't know if that 100% helps with the performance out of it. They obviously wouldn't do it if they didn't think it did. And obviously, again, against the competition, they have quite a bit of CFM over a lot. A lot of the Corsairs and stuff like that hit the 50, 60, maybe CFM, where these are almost hitting 80 CFM. So overall, they definitely have performance, and for the money, it's a win-win. Yeah, so I hope you guys had a good one. We're coming up around Christmas, so we'll see what kind of goodies come out for around Christmas. The desk PC has officially started. Parts of that will be released shortly, and then hope you guys like this one. And I'll see you in the next one.